And that's something that, like, I think, again, talking about the homelessness thing that I ended up digging into the other day, people are not interested in preventing deaths among the homeless by housing people. They're interested in punishing people for becoming houseless. This is why we see, the Trump admin attempting to crack down and prevent any kind of housing first initiatives. This is why I hate Gavin Newsom with like an unspeakable fury, because he has stymied housing first initiatives forever, because he has really reactionary and punitive ideas about being unhoused. And he always has. It's been a huge part of his politics for fucking decades. And that's something where it's like, to me, that's part of why Gavin Newsom doesn't look that left, and also doesn't look that different from the Trump administration. This is something that also becomes frustrating when you end up like far enough to like apolitical ideology, where it's like, I get that people get angry at the idea that like, oh, well, the Democrats and the Republicans are exactly the same. And it's like, no, they're not. They would have materially different outcomes for blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay. Kamala Harris and Trump, if Kamala Harris were in office, I very much doubt that Kamala Harris would be doing anything in Iran like what's happening right now. However, I still think that she would be giving the exact same kind of military aid to Israel that the Trump admin did before the Iranian attacks, or before the attacks on Iran, not that Iran attacked Israel or anything like that. And other than that, I think that we would still be dealing with the issues of basically at a certain point, it's like, well, the reason that people say that Democrats and Republicans are the same is because they're capitalist, because they're both capitalist, because the end goal is still like the salvation and the function of capital, not because, sorry, there's a song called Gay Woman Drone Pilot that somebody has made that's about like, how the military is very woke these days. The U.S. military is very woke these days. You can absolutely be a gay woman drone pilot bombing a, Yemeni wedding, and one of the verses in the song is a Black South Asian prosecutor talking about a case that Kamala Harris like pushed for like really harsh punishments on, about a Black man who had been incredibly wrongly accused of a crime, where people had like witnesses on site had said like, no, it was a white man who did this. And so it's like, Black South Asian prosecutor putting this Black man in jail for a long time and like potentially like having him subject to the death penalty. This is functionally the same as if a Republican was in office for that person. At least that outcome is not. And so that's the difference, where if you're looking at somebody like who is actively like a progressive prosecutor, like a George Gascon or something like that, versus Kamala Harris was never a progressive prosecutor. She was always just a prosecutor. Also, if we're talking about the fact that Republicans and Democrats from certain perspectives look exactly the same, every fucking time I hear anybody from the Trump admin saying that we have the most powerful military in the world, that we have the most deadly military in the world, it's exactly the line that Kamala Harris used on stage at the DNC while she was running for office. If you don't, and that's why they look exactly the same, because it's Democrats and Republicans are both interested in serving U.S. imperialism and in protecting capital. So I'm going to scan back because I've been ranting a little. But yeah, the Gavin Newsom mentioned the Gavin Newsom. It's not hard to get me on that. Yeah, Gavin Newsom tearing down homeless camp. He's been bad about this since he was the mayor of San Francisco. He's been fucking awful about homelessness forever. It's why I've hated him forever. It's the first thing that I hated about him. But that's the thing, is like most Democrats, so Fluffy Blue, you're saying it's wild that doesn't get him kicked out of office, like Jesus Christ, the inhumanity of it, of him tearing down homeless encampments. That's what most voters want. Even Democrats. They want people tearing down homeless encampments because they don't actually know anything about homelessness. Because they think people shouldn't be in these places, they should be in shelters, because they've never been to a fucking shelter and they don't know how fucking awful the shelters are. They think that the choice is not, go to a shelter, throw away all of your stuff, lose your pets, potentially get in fights, have, issues with your shit getting stolen, or sleep in a tent where you have all of your things and you have a community that you feel relatively safe in. They think the choice is stay in a tent, do drugs, panhandle, annoy people, be a threat, rape people, or go to a shelter and be a productive member of society. Because people just straight up don't fucking know. Unhoused people are so dehumanized to the vast majority of the housed population that, like, even people who are liberal frequently think of it as choices that are being made that need to be punished. That's why that's why a lot of my analysis of this comes down to a punitive impulse, is like they think that people want to be homeless because it allows them to be degenerate in the way that they want to be, because it lets them do drugs. And it's because they've never really thought about how somebody gets there, and because they think it's their fault. They think that people only become homeless because they make bad choices, because they don't think about how people actually become homeless. They don't listen to it when homeless people are talking about becoming homeless. They don't think about the fact that, like, I think it's something like 76% of people who are unhoused are employed. I think that even if we don't look at it, because I am like anti-carceral, I am, a prison abolition advocate, like, I know I'm like on the far radical side of a lot of these things. I do think that, even if we frame it as moving away from a punitive culture, I think more than that, I think it is people need to examine where their punitive impulses are coming from and see if that reflects reality. And I think that part of the problem is that people genuinely don't understand what reality looks like. So they don't understand the reality of what homeless shelters look like. They don't understand the reality of what it makes to become, or what causes somebody to become homeless. Like, and so as a result, when they're looking at, oh, well, people should be punished for panhandling and they should be put in jail for doing this, that, or the other thing, and it's fine when their horrible drug den tents get torn down by the governor, they don't even recognize that they're not reflecting reality. They are not questioning whether or not they're looking at something that's propagandistic, that has been presented to them incorrectly in order to, like, further a narrative. So, but that's the thing, is, like, I think that people should, whenever you feel like you need to punish somebody for something, and also, I mean, it does also to a certain extent involve, like, redefining what you think of as punishment, because that's something I think people also don't really spend a lot of time thinking about. But if you find yourself wanting to punish somebody for something, ask, why am I mad at this person? Why do I think they need to be punished for the thing they're doing? Are they actually doing the thing that I think they're doing? What are options aside from doing the thing that I think that they're doing? Are there things preventing them from participating in those options? Are there things that are forcing them into this? And basically, I think everybody needs to be a hell of a lot more thoughtful in society than they are, which is the thing that, talking about the kind of society that I believe in, the kind of politics that I believe in, it does require a lot more participation and buy-in from people than I think a lot of people either have or are willing to put in. It's a lot easier to believe that homeless people are doing so because they want to be able to do drugs and they don't want to have to, give up their drugs to go into the shelter. They're doing it because they're gross. It's easier to believe they're doing it because they're gross than to understand that you are living in and participating in a society that profits off of dehumanizing people and allows these people to be as, like, at risk and in danger as they are, specifically so that your boss can use them to scare you so that you don't quit, because otherwise you'll die without your health care. It's a bad society. So it's a lot easier to just go, oh no, they're gross, not our society is fundamentally broken. And I get why people don't want to do that. I get why people don't want to think that way. It's a shitty way to because it means the world sucks. If the things that I'm saying are true, it means the world sucks, and I don't want the world to suck. The world shouldn't suck. The world should be full of people who have good intentions and are doing things for the right reasons. And if the governor is tearing down homeless encampments, it's not because he's doing so in order to essentially make profits for the fucking Silicon Valley companies that are taking away all of our privacy. It should be because he wants them to have a better life. That's why he's doing it, right? Maybe.